Hello, beloved soul, and welcome to the Spiritual Support Crew, the podcast dedicated to supporting all light workers, starseeds, psychics, healers, and all helper souls incarnated on Earth as we move into the age of Aquarius. I'm your host, Helen Crosby, and today I want to talk into a phenomenon that we are seeing around us right now. Now, I began to cover this in episode 10, titled The Great Separation, but I feel it's really important to understand what's going on here so we don't lose all hope or slide into despair, which many people are finding very difficult to resist right now. You've probably noticed how humanity seems to be splitting into groups at the moment. Many small, splintered, fractured groups based on prejudice, fear, or rejection of others who are different or who think differently from them. It's quite strange to witness in some ways, because when it comes down to it, human beings actually have an awful lot in common with each other, and our differences can enhance our relationships if we can act from a place of wisdom and kindness. Couple that with social media driving a wedge in people's relationships, social distancing literally forcing people not to come together, and we're seeing many ways in which humanity is being made increasingly antisocial and ever more divided. Now, this may all seem very demoralizing, saddening, and perhaps infuriating that people would allow themselves to be manipulated in such a manner. So I want to address this and hopefully bring a little calm and reassurance to the whole topic today. I've touched on this previously, and I did talk about how humanity is splitting into predominantly two major groups, one of which is moving forwards and welcoming the new positive energy of Aquarius, and the other that's going in the opposite direction, running back to mummy-daddy state or their chosen authority figure to protect them from the big scary future. And yes, I am being intentionally glib here, because it's not so clear-cut in reality or in the minds of each person, of course. Many people genuinely think they're doing the right thing and that the other group is wrong, and vice versa. You do, of course, have a large number of followers who just go along with the majority, or with who they think are the normal people, and perhaps with what authority figures tell them is the right thing to do. And the message I really want to impart today is that nobody is actually wrong. Yes, you heard me correctly. No one is wrong, and nothing has gone wrong. So let me explain what I mean by that. Each person is coming from their own personal truth, be that manipulated by another person or channeled directly from source. Your truth is your truth as long as it's your truth, and your soul's path is your soul's path. Like I've said many times, some souls choose this incarnation in order to experience suffering, repression, cruelty, war. Their choices are not inherently wrong in and of themselves, because there is no right and wrong other than what we perceive. Now, of course, I am talking from the higher spiritual standpoint here, and that does not, by any means, give you a free pass to be cruel, unkind, or harmful to others on a human level. We have free will and free choice, but karma is still a thing. There are always and unavoidably consequences to our actions. Now, these consequences may not even show up in the same lifetime, but the balance of energy is always restored one way or another. I've talked before about how we live in a world of duality, of light and dark, and that we are witnessing the resurgence of the divine feminine as she comes into balance with the divine masculine, and I don't want to labour that point today. I feel it's more hopeful at the moment to focus on solutions and positivity, what we can do rather than what we can't. I'm speaking to a lot of highly spiritual people who are coming to the end of their rope, feeling that they can't help people because they won't listen to them. And this is a good time to remember that you can't wake up somebody who is pretending to sleep. People will and have to make their own choices. And at the end of the day, you can only wake up or inform people who are open to the information you are providing them with. Each of us will do what we feel to be right, and for many people that means ignoring the information that there may be something nefarious going on right up until the last minute, until it's too late, or for others, they'll just never acknowledge what some of us consider to be very obvious truths. Now, I started this podcast to support the helper souls, the people working to make this world a better place for all of us, for the light workers, the spiritual anarchists, the visionaries, the empaths, all of the ones who, like myself, can see what's possible in the future. We can feel the energy of a new Aquarian age upon us. We may have even had a glimpse of what it could look like as the years and centuries progress. Cryptocurrency is a very good example of that innovative and original energy that is beginning to permeate our beings and our reality. The procession cannot be stopped, and we are moving into the age of Aquarius, whether we like it or not. The dark forces that run this world currently may be able to slow down some people's progress and harness them into the yoke of the more negative aspects of the new age. But I feel that will be temporary at best. Aquarius's ruling planet of Uranus isn't known as the Awakener for nothing. What I really want to impress upon all my listeners right now is that nothing has actually gone wrong. Everybody has to play their part in this giant drama, this 3D video game of life. And despite how things may appear much of the time, I feel very strongly that we will all get through this and moving to an era of greater freedoms, self-empowerment, cooperation and harmony. It seems pertinent to note that those who control the news and media really seem to be ramping up the fear with very poor results at the moment. And that tells me they're losing, and they know it. Emotionally, we are still going through a very challenging time though, so I do want to acknowledge the suffering many are going through, and how painful it is to see people we love, respect and care about joining the other team, for want of a better word. So, what can we do? Well, I believe that our main job as helper souls right now is to hold the space for the rest of the world while they go through the process of awakening. And the way we do that is by holding the vision of the future, as I expressed way back in episode 1 of this podcast. But right now it's about holding the space, staying in the place of calm, at the eye of the storm, at the 0 point, the void. Meditate as often as you can. Practice mindfulness. Learn to become the observer of your thoughts. Stay in the present moment, alert, calm, aware of everything that's going on, but without allowing yourself to get drawn into the drama. I know it's not always easy, but this is our sacred task right now, as we help to hold our planet in the energy of the 0 point, the place of creation, from which all else springs. It may not seem very impressive or glamorous to hold the space, but somebody has to do it. I think most of us have reached a point where we have shared information, links, studies, even memes until our typing fingers are sore, and yet some people still don't want to hear what we're trying to tell them. This is the point to stop. When you hit the wall, stop bashing your head. Some people just do not want to hear what you have to say, and although you may have the best intentions, trying to wake them up, that's not your responsibility or your job. Our human ego might think it's important for others to agree with us because then we are quote-unquote right. But we live in a free will zone, and people have to make their own choices, choose their own leaders, and make up their own minds about what is real and true for them. And whilst you may not be able to force them to change their opinions, and goodness knows you should never be forcing anyone to do anything, because at that moment you become the oppressor, there is still something you can do. You can hold the energetic space, symbolically hold the door open for them until they're ready to walk through it. When I tune into what holding the space looks like, I'm shown a great number of people energetically joining hands the world over, forming giant rings of people around the world, creating a grid of loving spirit energy. It's a powerful image, and it reminds me just how powerful each one of us is, and as yet mostly untapped power of the human heart. Never underestimate how much you are helping to change the world just by being in it, by being a beacon of hope, of wisdom, and an oasis of calm for others. It may not seem like glamorous work, but when seen from the etheric point of view, it's like seeing beautiful beacons of light guiding humanity forwards out of the darkness. In many ways, being a helper soul or a change agent, here to help usher in the new world, is a passive role. It requires non-doing rather than doing, guiding rather than forcing, and showing the way rather than coercing others to do what you want. The new energy requires that we lead by example, with radical self-honesty, the complete opposite of the way our current governments rule, which involve threats of violence, theft of your property, imprisonment, facilitated by elites who really do not practice what they preach. Each time I've asked my spirit guides how to stop them, how to prevent them from enacting their dastardly plan to further enslave the world, decimate populations, and render us subhuman, I'm told the same thing. They will stop themselves. I don't know exactly what that will look like, but even those dark and malevolent people are due to awaken at some point. Until then, we will hold the space for them. Remember that darkness cannot drive out light, and it only takes one candle to illuminate a room. Don't underestimate the power of your convictions, of your light, and your ability to act as a beacon for others. Stay in your place of peace, calm, love, empathy, and hold the space for them until they're ready.